Good morning, Dan. This is Carolina from State Adventures again. I recently sent you the link to your itinerary, but I thought it would be easier to go over all the details here. So when you have some free time, you can watch the video, go through the itinerary, and that will help you maybe jot down some questions or maybe some changes that we could do to the itinerary to make it perfect. Again, this is just the first draft. It's your trip. It's a private trip, so we can make any adjustments that we need. So let me share my screen here, and you should be able to see the itinerary that I shared this morning. So I planned it for August 5th of 2023. The dates are completely flexible as well. There's only one day on the itinerary that has specific days of the train departures to Lake Titicaca. So if we need to shift the trip, just let me know and I will work it around to make sure that we can get that beautiful train ride. I have been organizing trips to Peru since 2006. I have been to South America more than 30 times. I've just recently returned from my third trip to Peru. I'm always exploring and always trying to figure out better ways to do things. I have a fantastic team on the ground in Peru that will spoil you from start to finish. So as I go through the itinerary and things pop up, I will share them with you. So August 5th, you're going to take your international flight into Lima, Peru. It's the only international airport. We will have a State Adventure sign for you with your name on it, and a private guide will take you to the car, and a private car will take you to your hotel. And we will spend 2 nights in Lima in the beginning. I mentioned to you when we were chatting that Lima is this great city on the Pacific Ocean, beautiful views, great restaurants. It's a really nice downtown, very walkable. So it's a good place to kind of start a vacation or end a vacation and relax. It's at sea level, so it's easy to breathe, and the weather is usually quite lovely here. So I chose a hotel called the Belmont Miraflores Park. It's one of the best hotels in Lima, and it's due to its location. It's right on the cliffs. It has beautiful views of the ocean. It's right in Miraflores, which is that neighborhood that you can walk around in. So I think it's a really good choice for you. Let me know how you feel about it. It's a very traditional hotel in Lima. On our second day, after you have your breakfast, and all of our hotels will always include breakfast taxes, so there's nothing out of pocket or surprises at the property. After your breakfast, your guide will come and meet you at the lobby, and you will start exploring Lima together. You will always have access to his driver and car, but we try to encourage spending a lot of time on foot so you can, peek into doorways and taste along the way and really get to know the city as opposed to just being in a car being driven around. But we will definitely have a car available so we can go from place to place or neighborhood to neighborhood. We're going to cover all the highlights of Lima, and we will also go to the Larco Museum. It's a very small museum filled with little treasures, lots of surprises inside that museum. And we will also have lunch here. They have a beautiful courtyard where they arrange some nice meals. So we will do that, and it will be a lovely introduction to Lima. This evening, there are so many beautiful restaurants in Lima, and we can chat about the options before you depart. We're going to make you a reservation at one of these restaurants if you love high-end Michelin star dining, and it's going to be a full-on experience. It's like 12 courses. You kind of taste your way around Peru. They really do a good job. So as our drivers, I will arrange a driver to take you to the restaurant, and you can eat a la carte there off the menu. But that way you have your own car taking you back and forth. You can enjoy wine. You don't have to worry about taxes or anything like that. But on the way to the restaurant, we will take you to this magical water circuit park that they do in Lima. I've done this a few years ago, and it's very well done. It's a beautiful place to go right after sunset and kind of have a lovely romantic evening before your dinner. And then we'll take you back to the hotel. And then day 3, we are going to the jungle. From Lima, I have chosen Puerto Maldonado as your hub for the jungle, and this is where one of the best lodges in the Amazon is located. It's the Inca Terra Reserva Amazonica. It is fantastic lodge. They do such an amazing job. We kind of touched on it when we were chatting. You do go on all these excursions during the day, canoeing, going on hanging canopies, You go on, fishing expeditions. You can go swimming if you like. You can do so many different things. And then you come back for your beautiful meals in the lodge, and you come back to these beautiful rooms at night. So you kind of rough it by day and get spoiled by night. You do a very good job here. I chose for you to stay there for 3 nights simply because I think 2 nights is very short to go to the Amazon because you're spending a lot of time flying in, taking a boat in, and then flying out. Once you're in the jungle, everything is arranged and included by the Inca Terra property and by the Inca Terra guides. They're all local guides from there, and no two itineraries are the same. They're very fluid based on water levels of the river, the amount of rain that's falling, your interests and your abilities. Do you love hiking? Do you prefer to go around by canoe? Well, then that's going to be different routes that you're going to take. There are different communities within Puerto Maldonado that you can visit. So you kind of arrange that what you're going to do and what you hope to see and do with your guides there. So it's very flexible. So the itinerary that I put on here is kind of an idea of what's possible, but by no means do you have to stick to it. The Amazon in Peru has quite a large amount of wildlife still, so you'll be able to scout some out for that. And the lodge includes many different suites, but I included one of the best ones for you, the Tambopata suite, simply because it has this plunge pool, and I think it's so amazing to be in the rainforest where it's quite humid, kind of walk around all day and get really, hot, and then come back to this retreat that is your room with this beautiful plunge pool. So let me know what you feel about that. So we're going to be there for 3 nights, and then we're going to do a flight back to, back out of the Amazon and into Cusco. So now we're landing at high altitude, and we're going to tackle the Inca Citadel here. So we're going to focus on the Cusco Sacred Valley Machu Picchu triangle, and we're going to cover it kind of in steps so that you acclimate, so that you feel good, so that we're not pushing ourselves, but we still get to see a lot. So when we land in Cusco, we're going to whisk you right off into Sacred Valley. Same concept, State Adventure sign with your name on it, your private guide from this region. So it's going to be a different guide from the Amazon and a different guide from Lima. It will be a local person. Why local? Because they know where everything is. They know where the communities are. They know everyone. They're very passionate about the history here. So you definitely want to have somebody local taking you around. Because we're arriving at high altitude, I'm not going to do too many things on that first day. So we're going to go to this region, Moraz, Moray, and the Salinera salt mines. All Incan sites. These are laboratories where they performed all these different experiments on potatoes and corn. So it's quite fascinating and stunning visually. But there's not a lot of walking involved, so you can use this day to acclimate, but still see something beautiful. And then we will relax in the Sacred Valley for 2 nights at the Rio Sagrado. I chose this hotel because it's a classic. It's a smaller property, so the rooms are very boutique style, and they have these terraces, which I think is really important, so you can have indoor and outdoor living area. It's a very charming place. I've always been very happy with it. Great views as well. And the next day, that same guide will come back and will show you a bit of Sacred Valley. You could spend a week in Sacred Valley and not see it all. So we like to pick a few things for you, like highlights that will complement other things that you're doing on the trip. So on this day, we're going to focus on 2 things: ruins and an indigenous community that is there, that is living there, and you can kind of get a glimpse of life in the Andes. And the Misminai community is very special because we sponsor them. We've been sponsoring them for probably 10 years now. And so once a day, a client can arrive there. So you're not seeing busloads of people or anything like that. They're very high up in the Andes. So you're going to be there. You're going to, one family a day kind of adopts our visitors. It kind of shows you into their home, into their life. You meet the local shaman. You do a ceremony. They can do a blessing of your wedding anniversary. I think would be very special here because it's super authentic. This is not a show put on for tourists. This is kind of you visiting while they're going on with their life. So it's a beautiful experience. We just did it in November, and I was very happy to see because I'd done it about 8 years ago, and I was really hoping that it didn't change, and it didn't. Life in the Andes is kind of like that, and it's the same all the time. And then afterwards, we're going to go to the Ollantaytambo village. It's known for the largest complex of ruins in the Sacred Valley. So you'll get a bit of Incan history here as well. And we will have some beautiful lunches along the way. We can do a lunch in Miss Minay community, or we can do a lunch in a local restaurant. We can touch on those later. I have some beautiful spots in the valley to enjoy with a nice view. Day 8, now we've been in Peru for a week. We are ready to go see Machu Picchu. We're going to ride the Vista Dome train, and I choose this train because there's 4 different types of train. I choose this one because it has the glass dome ceiling, which allows you to have these beautiful views while you're riding to Machu Picchu. It's going to be about a 2-hour ride from Sacred Valley, so it's not anything long. They serve you a little brunch on board. It's a really nice experience. Once you arrive to Machu Picchu, we meet a local Machu Picchu guide. Again, I can have a guide from Cusco join you, which is nice because it's the same person you would have known, but a Cusco guide will never know as much as a Machu Picchu guide. So I always like to give this tour to our local guides there. He will meet you at the station. He will have a person from your hotel to pick up your bags and take them to check them in at the hotel for you. And you will just go off with your guide up to the shuttle, up to the ruins, and have a beautiful tour of the site. It's quite a beautiful experience. It's one of the most special places in Peru, in South America, I think. Great energy here. So we will spend a day there, usually 2 or 3 hours up at the ruins before returning back to the village and spending the night in town. We're arranging lunch for you during the experience, and then the hotel will arrange dinner for you. So you don't really have to go out into the village and figure out things on your own. It's a very small village, like no cars, it's all walking. And the hotel I chose is the Casa del Sol. This is like a 4-star property. It's right on the river, basic property, but you don't need that much here because you're really going to arrive probably 6 p.m., 7 p.m., and you're going to leave early in the morning. So this is one of those times where I say you don't need to spend thousands of dollars at Machu Picchu. So in the morning for sunrise, remember all those people who were at the ruins the day before, many of them have left on the train that evening. So the only people here at sunrise will be people who have stayed for the night in the village. It will still be hundreds of people, but it will not be thousands like you would have seen the night before. So it's a completely different experience, a completely different lighting. And because of the location, we're right at the entrance to the Amazon here. It could rain any day. So it's always a good idea to have 2 visits to Machu Picchu just in case it rained the day before. So you will go up to the ruins. If you would like to hike up to Huayna Picchu, which is this peak that I'm circling, you can. The guide will accompany you in, but it is quite steep. And so if you don't want it, we can do a soft hike to the Sun Gate, which is the entry to the Inca Trail. So there's lots of trails that we can enjoy on the second day to kind of get a different view of the ruins. Afterwards, after lunch, we're going to board our train right back to Cusco, and our car will pick you up and take you to your hotel. And so for Cusco Hotel, now that we're fully acclimated, I chose the JW Marriott. And I am not a huge fan of choosing chains or specifically Marriott because typically they're very business-like. This property just opened last year. They took 8 years to open this property because every time they dug up something, they found an Inca stone or some artifacts. It took them forever. The archaeologists would swarm the place, shut down construction. So it has so much history. So what Marriott decided to do is instead of fight all of this history, incorporate it. So they have a gallery inside. This is an old convent actually that was redone. And they have really stuck to the traditional look of Cusco, and they didn't change a lot of things. They just added that Marriott luxury to it, but really kept the essence of the convent. So it's really well done. I mean, downstairs there's a whole kind of museum for you to see the Inca wall that they found while they were building this. Great property. I just stayed here in a few months ago. So the next day, our Cusco guide is going to show you all around Cusco. There's so many beautiful things to do and see. It's a beautiful cobblestone town, great for walking. There's an part of the city that's very colorful and bohemian. There's part of the city where it's filled with markets. There's, of course, the main square and a cathedral. There's lots of museums here. So the guide will touch on as much or as little as you'd like. I want you to sleep in on this day because it's going to be your first day to be able to sleep in. So we will incorporate the touring around you. We will also go to the ruins right outside of Cusco. Cusco is surrounded by Incan sites. So we will pick a few like Sacsayhuaman, which is the largest one. And it also allows a beautiful view of the city. So it's worthy of a visit. And then I added another day in Cusco simply because you've been moving around quite a lot. And I want you to be able to, again, sleep in, enjoy a leisurely breakfast. The breakfasts in Peru are so beautiful. And then kind of get to know the city a little bit more on your terms. A guide will accompany you in the afternoon, take you to our local chocolate workshop. It's a little chocolate factory that produces local Cusco chocolates, but you could actually get your hands in there and make a box of chocolates for yourself. Very short, very fun little workshop, just a fun stop for you. Afterwards, we will also pop in to make a pisco sour. It's a traditional drink in Peru. So I just wanted you to kind of get a taste of the culture here without feeling like we were rushing out of the city. So that's day 11. Sorry, I just realized I have the 11 twice. I'm going to fix that for us. The next day we are going to take that long train ride that I mentioned to Lake Titicaca. Now we have many options to get to Lake Titicaca. This train, which is a Andean Explorer, beautiful luxury train that takes about 8 to 9 hours, or we can fly. If you don't want to sit on a train, we can take you to the airport, fly to Puno or Culiacan, the airport, and then we'll go right to Lake Titicaca. Or we can rent a car and do the route of the train by a car, and that will allow us to stop in many places along the way. That's a fun way to do it as well, but it's just as long. So if you're going to go for the long journey, I suggest the train simply because it's more comfortable. There's a beautiful lunch on board. There's live performances on board, and the end of the train is all open, so you can sit out there on these leather seats and take it all in. The train doesn't go that fast, so it's a beautiful experience, and I highly suggest it. And it will get us to Lake Titicaca. It's the largest, highest lake where people live on. So quite special. And literally, as you're there, on the other side of the lake is Bolivia. So you see, you're right on the border. So we're going to stay at the Lago Titicaca Puno Hotel. It used to be called the Libertador, so you've heard of that. Fantastic location, directly on the lake, and they have their own port, so any excursions can be right from the hotel. And that is what we're going to do. We're going to have a speedboat, and we're going to go to 2 different places. It won't take all day to tour everything. First, we're going to go to Uros Islands, and those are the floating reed islands that you see here in this photo. Fantastic, living museum kind of experience. Very friendly community. They will show you all around. They build their houses out of the reeds, the islands out of the reeds, the boats out of the reeds. They even eat the reed. So fascinating community. And then we will go to Tequila Island. So while on board, we'll have a nice lunch while we're cruising to Tequila. Sometimes we eat picnic style on Tequila, so we can decide what to do here. Tequila is a regular island, but the interesting thing about Tequila is that the jobs are flipped. So women are out working in the fields and men are indoors weaving. So they make these beautiful tapestries. So really fascinating stuff. Completely different than the Incas. They actually are not Inca. They speak Aymara. They have their own language here or their own dialect. So it's very interesting. And our guides will translate everything because they speak Spanish, English, and Aymara. So then we will return right back to our hotel. And then the following day is our day that we leave Lake Titicaca. We go back to Lima, I'm sorry. But on the way, we will visit the Silustani necropolis. It's a really ancient site right on the way to the airport. So it makes a lot of sense to stop there. And it's just another archaeological site that you can be exposed to that is not Inca. So you will really get a good idea from Lima to the Sacred Valley to Puno, completely different communities live throughout Peru, and you will get a good glimpse of it. Then we arrive in Lima, and I added a night here just so simply you're not connecting right to an international flight home. It's quite exhausting to do that. We're going to go right back to town. And instead of being in that really busy Miraflores area, I put you in Barranco, which is kind of like this up and coming residential, colorful neighborhood, but filled with galleries, museums, boutique hotels, high-end boutiques. So really fun little neighborhood to be in. And again, we can arrange for a car to take you to a restaurant for a farewell dinner. It's your last night in Peru. Let's do something beautiful. I think we can really end up on a high note here in the Barranco area. And then on the last day, my guys will take you right from the hotel to the airport, assist you with check-in, make sure you're on your international flight. Something to add, if you still need a vaccine, not a vaccine, if you still need a COVID test to enter the United States, we will arrange that for you. Somebody will come to the Lima hotel, take your test and email you the results. It's very convenient. You're not going to any clinic. In fact, in Peru, I have a 24/7 doctor and a whole medical team on board. So if in case you sprain an ankle or in case you are not feeling well because of the altitude and maybe need some some assistance, no problem. We have that ready around the clock. In fact, all of our guides also carry oxygen tanks in all of the high altitude excursions. So if you need some extra oxygen, which I typically do because I'm always running around, my itineraries are always much crazier than this. It's a nice peace of mind to know that they're there. So that is the gist of the itinerary. I hope going through it this way helped you. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now so that you can jot down all your questions and reach out to me so I can help you further. We can tweak it in any way you'd like. If it's too long, if it's too short, if you are now in love with the idea of crossing over and going to Bolivia, or if you want to go to the desert and see the Nazca lines, so many places to see and do. I can help you revise it. So let me know how it goes and happy travel.